Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku manifested his quirk after failing UA Part 2. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see Part 3, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴_06 from Wattpad. So let's start the video. Izuku's POV. I sighed, setting the tired girl on the bed. I managed to rent a house for the month so that Eri wouldn't have to go wandering around on the streets like I did. I sat on the bed next to her, singing her a calming song since it seemed like she was having a hard time falling asleep. A song that my mother used to sing me. After a few moments, Eri fell asleep, giving me the perfect timing to get some groceries. During the time I take care of Eri, I've decided to lessen my time fighting crimes and spend time with her instead. I locked the door securely before going to the nearest market. I bought some pork and some vegetables, hoping that what I cook will fit Eri's taste. I was about to head home when I passed by a clothes shop. The image of Eri's dirty clothes flashed in my mind and I walked into the clothes store. "Hello dear. What can I do for you?" a friendly-looking woman said, approaching me as I looked through some girls' clothing. "Oh." I glanced at the women. I was looking for some clothes for my younger sister. She's around 6 years old now. "Really? Clothes for children are over there in the right," she said, showing me where it was. "Thank you," I said, giving the woman a lazy smile. I sighed in relief when the woman went away, kind of annoyed that she chose to talk to me. I'm just thankful she left me alone though. This seems cute," I muttered, holding up a red pinafore. I saw that it was a set with a white dress shirt. I set the pinafore down, thinking that it would be a bit too uncomfortable for Eri to wear. I took it anyways, deciding to come here later with Eri, seeing which clothes she wanted most. But before I left, I got some other clothes. Thankfully, I had enough money to pay for them. I guess working a whole bunch of part-time jobs have paid off. The next day I woke up on the couch, seeing Eri still asleep on the bed. I got up to cook breakfast. I decided to cook 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, since it was the only food I knew to cook. I did know how to cook other foods as well, it's just that I didn't want to burn the house down. "Eri, you wake up. I made breakfast," I said, lightly shaking the girl. "Be breakfast?" she asked, rubbing her eyes as she sat up. "What's breakfast?" "Breakfast is what you call food that you eat in the morning," I explained, smiling when I saw the girl's eyes sparkle. "I'm not sure if you'll like it though." Eri started eating and I did as well, silently praying that the food will fit her taste. She looked up at me after eating a spoonful and I smiled when I saw her eyes sparkle. "It tastes great," Eri said. "Thank you, 𝐻𝐻𝐿." "Why, you're welcome." I was honestly flustered when she called me 𝐻𝐻𝐿, but I shrugged it off. I continued watching her eat. She must have been very hungry. I frowned when I realized that she never once smiled to me, even after getting free from overhaul. It must have been very hard for her. "Eri, why don't you smile?" I asked, taking the bowls from her when she finished. Eri paused, looking at me. "How do you smile?" This took me by surprise, but I realized that in her situation, most people would have said the same. This is kind of hard to explain. I sighed. "Eri, someone smiles when they're happy. I won't force you to smile because there's no meaning behind an empty smile, but I'd love to see your smile one day." At this, Eri teared up and I panicked, frantically trying to calm her down. Once she did, she looked up at me, and although I saw tears rolling down her face, I could see happiness glistening in her eyes. That was enough for me to feel better. I hugged her and she hugged back, her tears falling onto my chest. "Guess what?" I said once she calmed down. I pulled out the clothes I bought from yesterday, which was wrapped in a box. She tilted her head, looking at me. "What is it?" "Tada," I said, pulling out the dress for her. "This is for you, Eri." Thank you," she said, looking at me. "And these are your shoes," I said, giving her some sneakers. Eri looked at me and hugged me again. I hugged her, patting her back. "Today, I'm going to take you shopping," I said, smiling. "You can get anything you want." "Ah, really?" Eri asked. I nodded. Thank you," I just smiled, getting a comb and brushing Aries' uncombed hair. I helped her wash up and change into the clothes I bought for her. I then changed as well, getting into my new red sweater I bought the other night. Oh. Repairs. Aries said, pointing at my sweater. Yep. Repairs. I said, grabbing her hand and taking her outside. Now, let's go experience some freedom. Time skip. It was already sunset and Aries and I have had such a fun time today. We went shopping for clothes and I bought her a small bunny doll, telling her that it was something she could remember me by. We went to the movies. We ate popcorn and soda, watching a kids' movie that Aries seemed to be interested in. Currently, we were sitting on a bench in the park, eating ice cream and watching the ducks wobble around. I sighed, relieved that my shape-shifting hadn't worn off yet. "𝐻𝐮," Aries said, tugging on my sweater sleeves. "Thank you." I asked. "For what?" For helping me. And teaching me how to smile." Aries said, this time looking up to me. She smiled. "Thank you." I felt so happy when I saw her smile. It felt like a lot of weight was being lifted up from my shoulders. I felt whole again. Since my mother's death and the disappearance of the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, I've been feeling lonely and empty. But seeing Aries smile, I felt so much better. "You're welcome." I smiled back. "But I'm thankful to have met such a nice, wonderful girl like you. I've had such fun with you, something I've hadn't experienced for the past few months. So thank you, Aries." Aries smiled more brightly and we soon decided to head back. I helped her get changed into her new pajamas and I got changed myself. I sang her a lullaby again, running my hand through her soft hair. She looked at me, smiling a little. "Good night, 𝐻𝐻," she mumbled. I smiled, kissing the sleeping girl on the forehead. "Good night, Aries." Izuku's POV. I woke up to the chirping of the birds. When I did, I heard some gasps coming from Aries. I hurriedly looked over to her, seeing her horn much larger than yesterday. She seemed to be in pain and I realized that she's struggling to contain her quirk. "It hurts," Aries whimpered, squeezing her eyes shut as she wrapped her hands around her head. "My head hurts." "It's going to be okay, Aries," I said, picking her up. Just hand on. I'll get help, okay?" Aries nodded and grabbed onto me. I felt her horn on my shoulder and my head started hurting, probably because of Aries' quirk. I bit my lips, trying my best to ignore the pain, and I started running the fastest I could to the first place I thought of. Although it did take a while, I finally managed to get to the entrance of UA. Many staffs and students were surprised, some even trying to catch me, since I was probably a wanted figure. I ignored them, shouting for them to stay away, mostly because I didn't want Aries to get hurt but also because Aries' quirk might harm them. "Where's 𝐻𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗘?" I said, breathing. Everybody just stared, making my patience to wear thin. I gritted my teeth, glaring at the students in the hallway. "Where's 𝐻𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗘?" I yelled, making some people come out of their classrooms, including a few teachers. "I need to see him right now." "What is it, MIdoriya? Or should I call you Deku?" Turned around. "To see Mr. Izuku. Stop causing a ruck dash. I need your help." I breathed, feeling pressure on my body as Aries' state seemed to get worse. Upon seeing Aries, Mr. Izuku seemed extremely surprised. He then seemed to understand what I needed help with and he cancelled Aries' quirk, causing me to fall down due to my strength leaving me knees. Aries soon calmed down, her horn shrinking back to its normal size. She looked at me worriedly and I just smiled, hugging her close. I was about to get up, attempting to leave but Mr. Izuku grabbed me. All Might and 𝐶𝐮𝐻𝐽𝑒𝑚𝑒𝑛𝑡𝑜S held me back as Midnight took away Aries from me. I struggled and somehow I managed to get free with my quirk, even though Mr. Izuku was obviously using his quirk on me. "𝐻𝐻," Aries said, hugging onto me. "Who are they?" "These people here are pro heroes." I smiled bitterly. "They're going to keep you safe. Since I obviously won't be able to." Aries looked at me, concerned with a hint of confusion. Aries' quirk would go out of control again, and if she stays with me, she's not going to be able to get the proper training she needs. Besides, she's most safe with the heroes, not a criminal like me. I wanted to leave, but I was held back by Mr. Izuku's bonds. Plus, All Might was crushing me with his quirk and couldn't even move no matter how much I tried. I sighed, rolling my eyes as Midnight started giving me a lecture about some stuff I wasn't even listening, to be honest. "We'll deal with you later." Mr. Aizawa sighed, picking up Eri. "Come with me, Deku." "Fine, geez." I huffed, walking next to him. "Why bother changing your vigilante name anyways?" Mr. Aizawa asked, looking at me with a displeased look. "Just having to deal with villains are annoying, don't add on to it." "Well, I wouldn't have if you heroes did your job correctly." I spat. "You guys can't even take care of the citizens." I just felt like I should take matters into my own hands. Mr. Aizawa shot me a glare. He was about to say something when we were interrupted by Eri, who seemed a bit upset. "Don't hurt my Nichan, mister," Eri said, surprising both me and Mr. Aizawa. "He saved me and took care of me when nobody else did." I smiled, comforting Eri that Mr. Aizawa did nothing wrong and that we were just having a friendly argument. We continued to walk to wherever we were going in silence, Eri clinging onto me since she didn't seem to feel comfortable in Mr. Aizawa's arms. She kept asking me where we were and if I was going to be okay. "We're here," Mr. Aizawa said, stopping in front of the infirmary. "Go in and get yourself treated, along with the girl. Then come to the office." I nodded and watched him leave, hesitantly opening the infirmary doors. I froze when I opened the doors, seeing 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, who was right behind the door. He was clutching his forehead, since I think I slammed the door into his face. "Oops, didn't see you there, 𝐀𝐻𝐭𝐡𝐨." I snickered, making him growl. "Did you miss me?" "Shut up, useless Deku," he yelled, pushing me. "Get out of my way." "Oh, put." I smirked. "See you soon, 𝐀𝐻𝐭𝐡𝐨." He just glared at me, leaving the infirmary. I sighed, setting down Eri on one of the infirmary beds, and I asked Recovery Girl to check Eri's state. She did a quick checkup on both of us, giving Eri some candy and giving me some bandages. "So, are you having fun messing around?" Recovery Girl asked, sitting back at her desk. "Sure, you might be doing good deeds, but child, it's still illegal. I wouldn't be doing it if the heroes weren't so scared to step up for everybody." I snorted. Just because someone's quirkless, they push them aside and all heroes care about is fame and money. They're just so hypocritical. "But that's how the world is. That's the world we live in," Recovery Girl said, patting my back. Just don't get yourself in too much trouble. There are people relying on you." I nodded, smiling a bit at her words. I felt better, knowing that she understood how I felt and that she doesn't see me as an law-breaking criminal, but as another person. It felt so much better since she didn't reprimand me for doing what I believed was right. "That makes me feel slightly better," I said, giving her a smile. "So, did you miss me?" Recovery Girl sighed, shaking her head as she let out a chuckle. "You never change, do you? But I guess that's your charm. You know me so well." I laughed. "Welcome back, Izuku. 𝐿 MIdoriya, we have decided to give you one last chance to prove yourself," 𝐁𝐮𝐬 said. "We'll allow you to redeem yourself by either studying here or helping the pro heroes." I currently stood in front of the pro heroes and the teachers of UA. They were having a meeting with some policemen and government agencies about what to do with me. "I'll help out then." I smiled. "Oh, and I have a request." "What is your request?" 𝐁𝐮𝐬 asked. "If something bad happens to me," I sighed in a breath, "please look over Eri. She's like a sister for me." 𝐁𝐮𝐬 nodded and allowed me to leave. Mr. Aizawa showed me where I was going to live, since I was going to be under constant surveillance. Thankfully, they didn't separate Eri from me. "Get some rest. You'll be joining the other children in their training starting tomorrow," Mr. Aizawa told me. "If you need anything, you can call me." Mr. Aizawa left his phone number on the table and left. I glanced at Eri, who was sleeping. I sighed and sat at the seat, which was located near the bed. I wish they didn't leave," I said, gently brushing Eri's hair. "Why does everyone leave me? Father left, 𝐀𝐻𝐿 never liked me in the first place, the 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s left, and Mother left too." I felt some tears fall down my face. I just wished that someone will listen to what I have to say. I whispered, my eyes closing. I just wished for someone to hear me out. Not reprimand me. I'm tired of people telling me to do that, do this. I sighed, opening my eyes to look at Eri again. She looked so peaceful while sleeping. Who am I to say this? You've probably gone through more than me. I chuckled sadly, standing up. I need some fresh air. I quietly left the room, closing the door behind me. I quickly left the building, walking around the UA campus, hoping to find a place quiet enough to organize my thoughts. I ended up sitting on the grass behind the building. I looked up at the sky. The sky was painted in appealing shades of orange and blue. We'll be here for you, Izuku. Remember, we're all one. We're a family now. I smiled to myself, recalling what Akari had once said to me. We're all one, huh? I frowned. What happened to that promise? When did everything go wrong? What did I do wrong? Aizawa's POV, are you sure this is the right thing to do? All Might asked Nizu. The boy seems really tired, not to mention what had happened to his mother. I don't know either. But wounds heal by time, and I trust that Midoriya is strong enough to deal with his own problems. Nizu replied. And besides, we have a duty to do as adults. We can guide him to do good, and perhaps we can bring back his real smile. I see. I mumbled. Well, I go check on him. Nizu nodded, and I quickly walked out of the office. Just as I reached the room where Midoriya was staying, I saw him leave the room. I quietly followed him, making sure that he didn't see me. What did I do wrong? I froze when I heard the boy say this. Just this one question was enough for me to understand that Izuku was indeed hurt. I could see it in his eyes. Sorrow. I can hear the hollowness in his voice and how strained it is. I can feel it. Even if he manages to fool others with his fake, sarcastic personality, I could see how hurt he was. Just, why do you insist on keeping up that painful facade? I questioned. Although I haven't said it loud enough for him to hear it, he looked at me. His eyes were red and tears were falling down his face. He looked so broken, yet he had a smile on his face. Didn't know you were there. The boy chuckled, standing up from where he sat. Well, I'll get going. Don't want to disturb you. Just as Midoriya passed by, I grabbed his arms, making him look at me again. I hesitantly hugged him, patting his back. He was first very stiff, but he soon relaxed, his body trembling as I felt warm tears on my shoulder. Why, you know, Mr. Aizawa? Midoriya called. It hurts. So much. I feel as if I'm drowning in a never-ending ocean of sorrow. Getting pulled back up into the light, only to be pushed back into the endless ocean of darkness again. Again and again. I frowned at his words. His voice sounded so dead, so empty. Does nobody care? Midoriya's voice spoke out. Am I really just a criminal to everyone? Is that all I am? Does nobody see that I'm a person too? That I have feelings too? Does nobody really care? I hugged him tighter, and the boy hugged back, his face buried into my chest. I care. I may not know what you're going through, but... I whispered, rubbing circles on the boy's back. I care. You're never alone in this world, child. Akari, we have to go. My sister nagged. Our vacation's over, dude. Yeah. I sighed. I'm just not ready to see him again. I feel bad for leaving so suddenly, you know. I do too, but explaining to him directly will be better than just leaving that poor boy in sorrow. We also have some news to tell him. Ikari retorted. Besides, we all miss him. Everybody nodded, all looking down since we all knew how much Izuku has been going through the moment we left. We had promised to stay with him, but we had left him during his hardest times. I know. Let's go. I smiled. Let's go meet that problem child. Izuku's POV. I smirked, waving at all my former classmates when they stared at me in shock. I stood next to Mr. Aizawa, casually ignoring the insults that were pouring out from Kaken's mouth. This child right here will assist me in teaching you guys as well, mostly during quirk training. Mr. Aizawa announced once the bell rung. He will also be joining you in several classes and events, so please welcome him. Like last time. I sent all of them a smile, and some people sent me welcoming looks, while some sent me wary looks, and some, mostly Kaken, sent me threatening glares. I appreciate your kindness, I said. I look forward to working with you guys once again. Welcome back, Midoriya. I chuckled at how they said that in unison. I felt somewhat happy that they accepted me again. Perhaps I've been pushing myself away from people a bit too much. I never thought that I would once again enjoy being with people when I obviously know that I'm going to lose them. I've always lost people. They either left or they died. I sighed, shaking away my thoughts as I quickly took this short moment to get to know my classmates, and dare I say, friends, a bit more. After that quick few minutes, Mr. Izuku dismissed me, saying that it was time for class. I nodded, stumbling outside of the classroom, since their first PRD isn't one of the classes that I'm supposed to be in. I'm supposed to be helping Class 1B for the first 2 PRDs. Nichan. I turned around to see Eri running towards me with Midnight on her tail. Let's play. I'm sorry, Eri. I smiled, crouching down and patting her hair. I have to help the teachers here. Do you want to come with me? Eri nodded her head after a few seconds. I thanked Midnight for taking care of Eri during the morning, and Midnight just smiled, leaving us to go to Class 1B. We walked in silence for a while before I opened my mouth. So, Eri, do you feel lonely? I asked. Like, don't you want any friends? Oh, I have you, Nichan, so I don't feel lonely that much. Eri smiled. And today I met some fox friends. They were so cute. I flinched when she said the word fox. I guess I still can't erase the memories of them no matter how much I tried. Oh, where did you meet them? I asked. I saw them outside. Eri said, her eyes sparkling. The leader is the one named Akari. At that, I completely froze. I took in a deep breath before turning towards Eri. She looked up at me as thoughts raced through my head and my heartbeat increased. Nichan. Are you okay? I gulped as her voice rang through my head. Akari. I stuttered, seeing Eri nod her head. Did you call me? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. He was crying yesterday. I asked Izuku. Izuku simply nodded, staring at me from his place on the couch. He was settled in his yellow sleeping bag and he seemed troubled. That child. He causes so much trouble. Izuku sighed. I'll get going. I need to check on that problem child. Izuku slowly shuffled out of my office, leaving me and All Might in the room. I just stared in amusement as I saw Izuku lay on the floor once he was out the door, rolling on his side towards the direction to his classroom. I heard a sigh come from All Might, who had gone to close the door to the office. I do think that the boy does cause quite a bit of problems. All Might chuckled, sitting back down on the sofa in front of mine. I paused, staring at the warm cup in my hand. I honestly didn't know how to reply to that. No matter how much I tried to think on the messy green-haired boy's thought level, he always manages to surprise me. Sometimes, he goes beyond my expectations. Oh, he must have his reasons. I replied, sipping my tea. All Might, have you thought of a reason on why you still have your quirk when Midoriya was said to have eaten your hair? I sighed when I saw the confused look on All Might's face. Even I can't seem to figure that problem out. Although if he were to become a hero, he would become a great, powerful one that provides the civilians with a sense of safety and comfort. He would be able to bring a smile to everyone's face, child or elders. No. I saw him eat my hair and I'm certain that it's been taken to effect. All Might mumbled. But I still have my quirk and this doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. I sighed. You should go talk to him about it. And you should also consider passing your quirk on to someone else. We don't have much time left. All Might simply nodded and sipped his tea as well. So, are you going to tell young Midoriya about that little plan of yours? All Might asked. I got that young girl to help me out. I smiled. It seemed like she'll do anything for that boy. How did you get them to come here in the first place? All Might asked. How did you find those 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 actually? I chuckled, looking at All Might. I have my ways. Besides, both of them, they were suffering. I sighed. I wonder just how dumb they can be. All Might choked on the tea and I just handed him a napkin. I feel bad for the child. I said. He deserves better. I see. All Might said. I agree. So when are you going to show those 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 to the boy? Oh, they probably already have. I smirked. I wonder if that child will appreciate my little welcome present. All Might sighed at my words, drinking his own tea. Sure that he would appreciate it. Izuku's POV, so. You only left because you guys were causing my sickness. You guys don't hate me? I asked, choking back another sob. Of course. We love you, Izuku. Akari chuckled, handing me a tissue. We're sorry for leaving you just like that. But we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. And we needed a small vacation to recover our energy. They gave me a necklace and a bracelet, which both had a small blue marble in the center of it. This is for you. We got it during our vacation. Think of it like a souvenir. Q exclaimed. We won't leave you like that again. For the past hour, the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s told me everything from why they left me to what they thought was happening. I was very upset when they suddenly showed up, after disappearing. But I was more happy than upset, honestly. Midnight and 𝐶EMENTOS had to take Eri away so that I could have a private conversation with all of the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s, who were all in their human forms. We're sorry to hear that your mother died, Izuku. Ikari said, and I just gave them a sad smile. It's okay. Everyone's bound to die one day. I replied, sighing. I'm happy to finally see you again. Some of the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐵s flinched, quietly whispering something to each other. It was quite strange since they weren't usually the type to keep secrets. And several quirk doctors said I was quirkless. But I can still use my 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐶 quirk, so I'm very confused. I explained, shaking off their reaction. Isn't it confusing? When I said that, all the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐶 tensed up, glancing at each other awkwardly before looking back at me. Akari and several others were fidgeting and playing with their own fingers. They were acting like little children who got in trouble, and honestly it looked pretty funny. It's just that the atmosphere in the room was too dense and serious. Is something wrong? I asked, confused but mostly worried about their actions. No, it's nothing. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 sighed. Can we talk about this after lunch? I'm suddenly hungry all of a sudden. I nodded, following them to the cafeteria. Even though I could sense that something was off about them, I decided to keep that to myself and wait until they tell me truthfully about what they were hiding. I couldn't help but feel a bit hurt, since they had promised me that they trust me. Yet, they can't tell me a single secret. I shook the thought off, sitting down between Ryu and Kahaku with my lunch. I quietly picked on my food for a while, deep in thought before Akari snapped me out of it. Hey, are you not going to eat that? Akari asked. I can eat it for you. Of course I'm going to eat it. I snapped, shooing his hand away. Anyways, what is it that you're hiding from me? I told you everything from when you guys left and to how I met Eri. You're not going to like what I'm about to tell you, but I guess it's better for you to know about it faster. Akari sighed, looking away from me. Listen closely, Izuku. However, before Akari could say anything, the door to the cafeteria was slammed open, showing 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 standing there. He looked super mad and looked my way, but I sent him an annoyed smirk. He stomped towards where I was and attempted to punch me, which I swiftly dodged. And of course, I had to punch him back. Fancy seeing you here, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I smiled, innocently, watching him clutch his stomach. Did that hurt? Anyways, what's up? You little dash. Hey kid. Just leave us be. Akari snickered, interrupting 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Young ones these days. How lucky. Akari sighed like an old man and the rest of the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s laughed, dragging me away from 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, who was actually really angry. I must say, I've never seen him that angry, but I ignored it, returning my attention to the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s. Anyways, as I was a dash, everyone please return to your classrooms as quick as possible. A voice interrupted. I soon realized that it was Mr. Aizawa speaking through the intercom, and I quickly dragged the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s along to my assigned classroom, Class 1A, completely forgetting about the secret the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s were planning to tell me. There was a small break-in by some villains. We are suspecting him to be a member of the League of Villains, and we have received reports that there are more villains acting recently. Mr. Aizawa said once everyone was back in the classroom. We are planning to use this chance to let you guys, under a pro-hero's supervision, do actual hero work. So, basically another internship. Ida asked. Didn't we have one not too long ago? Yes, But you will be taught from the basics, since all this time you guys only got yourselves in trouble. Mr. Aizawa said, sighing as he looked at each and every one of us. Including me. Izuku, you are to help me train Eri from now on, and you will also patrol the city with me. Yes, sir. I smiled. You can totally count on me. Mr. Aizawa sighed, shaking his head. He dismissed everyone else, since they were supposed to leave for their internships early tomorrow morning. He told the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 and I to stay, saying that he had something to discuss with us. We have given you this chance again, problem child. Do not waste it, since this is the very last chance that we can allow you. Mr. Aizawa frowned, massaging his temples. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 are to stay with you, however, they aren't allowed to leave the school campus on the weekdays unless given permission from the school faculty. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 nodded, letting out small grumbles. They will also be required to help out at UA and will be joining the training that you and Eri will be going through. Mr. Aizawa finished, standing up. If they cause any trouble, you will be charged responsible for their actions, Izuku. I nodded, sending the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 a warning glance before smiling at Mr. Aizawa. He just huffed, leaving the room. The moment he left, I wanted to ask the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 about what they were hiding again. However, Eri barged into the room, hugging me and the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Nichan. Mr. Aizawa said that we'll be training together starting from tomorrow. Eri smiled, her eyes sparkling. Are you excited? I asked, softly patting her hair. I smiled as Eri nodded enthusiastically. She ran over to Akari, asking him to lift her up. He did so, easily setting her down to sit on his shoulders. I chuckled at how close Eri was to everyone. It oddly made me feel. Izuku. Akari called, making me snap out of my thoughts. Don't ever think that you're alone, okay? You have us. And many people care about you. Thank you. That makes me feel better. Izuku's POV today was the first day of our training. Eri seemed very enthusiastic about it, but once the actual training started, she seemed to get very tired. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 seemed to get tired as well. Mr. Aizawa was pretty serious about this training, I guess. The training mostly consisted of Eri's quirk being used on plants, and Mr. Aizawa made her use it on me once. It hurt like heck, so Mr. Aizawa forbid Eri from using her quirk on other people for now, until she could control her quirk better. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 were also training me during that time when we were not needed for Eri's training. Apparently, the quirks that I have lost aren't really gone. It's just that I don't know how to use it properly and probably just got buried by my other powers. I could use the crystal quirk and the nature quirk if I trained it properly. That's what they said. I sighed as I massaged my shoulders. It was break time, currently, but soon, I'll have to go back to training. Nichan. Mr. Aizawa was calling for you. He said that you're going on an emergency patrol. Eri said, running towards me. He told me to tell you to meet him at the entrance of the school. Oh, thank you for telling me, Eri. I smiled, patting her head before standing up. I'll be right back, okay? I'll be waiting. Eri smiled back as I left the gym. I gave her one last wave as I closed the door. I smiled to myself as I remembered how happy Eri looked these days. She's finally healing from her past scars and starting to open up with others. She's no longer scared to express her feelings, and seeing her get better somehow makes me feel better. Perhaps I'm just seeing my younger self in Eri. A boy who got hurt for being quirkless and a girl who was used for her quirk. Our pasts may have been different in several ways, but the fact that we both were suffering just makes me feel a bit closer to Eri. I just want to give her a happier life, a brighter future than the ones I had. I sighed as I arrived at the entrance to UA. I saw Mr. Aizawa and 3 of the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 there. Mr. Aizawa seemed to be very impatient, and the 3 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, Akari, and Takako looked very nervous and concerned. Hey, is anything wrong? I asked. There's no time for a full explanation right now. Mr. Aizawa said. We'll explain you the details later, but there was a sudden villain attack at the main square. 6 of the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 have been injured while protecting the citizens, and the rest, excluding the ones here, are helping somewhere else. Where exactly? I asked. And how did 6 of them get hurt? They're undeniably strong. Kid, Mori, Kyeko, and Masako went over to help the other pro heroes since there was a fire at one of the middle schools. Akari replied as we were quickly led out of the UA campus by Mr. Izuku. The other 6. They are at the hospital currently, but they are said to be affected with some kind of magic. Not a quirk but some weird power. How is that possible? Magic? I asked, following besides them. Are you sure it's not a quirk? Yes, several doctors confirmed the claim. The effect on their health system is agreed to have been caused by an unknown force. Mr. Izuku replied. Then that means my quirk won't work on it, but that unknown force doesn't seem like they'll stop. We're currently focusing on keeping the citizens away from the area, but we have to find a way to at least restrain that person fast. I nodded, trying to process the information that Mr. Izuku had told me. The idea that the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 got injured was very foreign to me. Nobody would be able to deny that the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐶 were incredibly strong, especially since they know how to use their powers effectively and have not lost a single battle I've seen. Everything that they were telling me sounded like lies. But the expressions on Akari, Ikari, and Takako's face was all that I needed to see that confirmed that everything right now was indeed true. That everything that was happening right now was not a prank or a dream, but in fact a reality. I bit my lips. My head was spinning and my breath hitched. My heart was pounding and many emotions flooded me. First, disbelief. Then, bewilderment. And then, concern, fear, sorrow, and finally anger. Everything felt so frustrating. The fact that I, again, couldn't do anything to protect the ones I loved, that the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐶 might die as well, and that I will be thrown away after I prove as a disappointment. That I, again, might end up alone. When I came back to reality, we were already at the main square of the city. There was a large crack in the ground and many people were injured. BLD was everywhere and screams sounded from every corner. There were fire and smoke in the air, but the person who caused all of this was nowhere to be found. We were told to get everyone to safety, and after around 30 minutes, the firefighters came to help. The 4 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐶 that were helping with a fire at a middle school came to help as well. Thankfully, the fire wasn't that big and there weren't many citizens we had to help. Just as the situation started to cease, I saw a shadow moving amongst the people. It was incredibly fast and it moved into a dark alleyway. I narrowed my eyes to get a better glimpse at the person, but I was surprised to see Akari. He looked at me and we made eye contact. He simply motioned for me to follow him and entered the alleyway. Wait, I said, following him as he quickly strode further into the alleyway. What's all this about, Akari? Why are you acting so suspicious all of a sudden? Akari simply laughed at my question and stood still. His white hair suddenly turned black, and blue flames started to surround him as his clothes changed as well. He was now wearing a black kimono. Child, how naive you are. It's honestly very entertaining to see you struggle through your life without knowing anything. Akari. No, the unknown male chuckled. The man turned towards me and I flinched. His eyes glowed a crimson red, and his skin was extremely pale. Everything about him was just so terrifying. Not to mention the suffocating aura that surrounded him. Who are you? I managed to choke out. Who am I? A sly smile crept onto his face. How interesting. Seems like Akari didn't tell you. I frowned when he mentioned Akari's name. The man stepped closer to me and I stepped back. I'm the keeper. And I'm here to tell you the truth. Izuku's POV. To the truth? I asked. The mysterious man simply nodded. I don't. Of course you don't get what I'm saying. The man sighed. I suppose Akari didn't tell you anything at all. As the leader of his group, he's certainly doing a terrible job. I stared at him in confusion and the man seemed to have noticed it. He chuckled and smiled at me. Perhaps I should cut them off from their duties. There are other 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐶 that do better than them after all. The man mumbled. He smirked. So, are you willing to hear the truth? I stepped back towards the opening of the alleyway, but the man stopped me. He had swiftly moved behind me, blocking the only exit. What do you want from me? I spat, glaring at him. Oh, I simply want to tell you the information you ought to know. The man snickered. Don't you want to know why your mother died and why you lost all your quirks? I stared at the man, shocked and terrified. Not many people have known about my mother's death, and nobody except a few others knew about my quirk issues. But this man, that I've never met, knew so much about me. How do you know that? Who are you? I asked. I told you, haven't I? The man shrugged. I'm the keeper. I know everything. Anyways, enough with the chit-chat. If you aren't willing to cooperate with me, I'm going to have to force you. The man threatened, his smirk turning into a frown. Izuku MIdoriya, you want to know why your mother died so suddenly, right? I'll tell you everything, but whether or not to believe it is all up to you. I blinked slowly, barely managing to process what he had said. You killed your mother. Or well, I guess I should say your foster mother. The man said. I stared at him in disbelief and he just stared back at me. You're not a human, child. I thought you were smarter than that. You were born as a 𝐀𝐮, you just grew up like a human. The man continued. I'm honestly surprised on how long you could survive here. But I have to say, it was quite entertaining to watch you grow up. Without even knowing who or what you were. See that doesn't make sense. I snapped back, hoping that this was just a dream. Just a terrible nightmare and that someone would wake me up. Then why am I here? Why am I not in the 𝐀𝐮 realm? The man silently looked at me, only adding to my frustration. I could feel tears welling up in my eyes. I grabbed the man's collar and shook him, but the man still didn't say a thing. As if on cue, it started raining. First, it was a soft drizzle, but it soon turned denser. Answer me, I yelled. Calm down, child. The man sighed. He pushed me away, dusting himself off. He snapped his fingers, summoning an umbrella for himself. There was a war in the 𝐀𝐮 realm not long ago, around 10 years ago, I think it was. Your biological parents both died in that war. But before your mother died, she took you to your foster mother, asking for her to take care of you. How? What? Your biological mother and foster mother known each other since childhood. I won't dig too deep into that, but they've met each other through an odd incident. Anyways, moving on. The male sighed again. You were around 4 when you were taken in by your foster mother. At that time, you probably don't remember, but you killed your foster father as well. My father? But he left us. I muttered, looking down at the ground. How foolish. I thought by now, you'll be able to piece everything on your own. The man stepped closer to me, stopping right in front of me. I looked up, my eyes locking onto his. You lacked control and killed him. Your mother lied to you, saying that he left, so you don't get traumatized. You killed her husband, yet she loved you so much. She took care of you as if you were her own son. The man said, an indifferent look settling on his face. Your foster mother was scared too. She was scared that you might hurt someone, or even get yourself killed. So she brought you up as a human, thinking that it'll be better for you. So your body and mind naturally adapted to the human system here, nullifying your powers until now, which is usually the growing stage for young 𝐀𝐮s. The man continued. Since you didn't get proper training to control your powers and you didn't get the proper energy you needed, you subconsciously started draining the life energy of your mother, the one person you were the most closest to. I fell on my knees, tears falling down my face as I took in the information the man had told me. No matter how much I told myself it wasn't true, my heart already knew that it was, in fact, the truth. The reason behind her death is you. The man whispered, crouching down next to me. If you don't believe me, you can go ask your 𝐀𝐮 friends. They'll most certainly be able to tell you everything you need to know. Well then, I'll have to go, as I've run out of time. It was nice meeting you, Izuku MIdoriya. The keeper said, standing up. I look forward to seeing you again. But I doubt that you can pass. I looked up after the strange statement, only to find that the man was gone. I let out an agonized scream, crying harder as I clutched my chest. I was very well aware of the disgusted or confused stares I was getting from passerbys, but I couldn't care less. After a while, I stood up as well, staring at my feet in both disbelief and sorrow. Even though the rain was pouring, I couldn't bring myself to move. Why? Time skip. I slowly walked to my assigned room, leaving a trail of water behind me. I could barely walk right now and I felt as if my life had been 𝐬𝐿 out of me. My clothes stuck onto me because of the rainwater, but there was something more important on my mind, right now. I passed by the numerous UA staffs, ignoring their stares and comments. I had to find 𝐻𝐻𝐸 and the others. They would be able to tell me the truth. Maybe then, I'll be able to accept the reality a bit easier. I bumped into someone. I slowly looked up, seeing the familiar golden eyes staring down at me. The moment I saw 𝐻𝐻𝐸's concerned face, I felt the tears well up in my eyes again, and no matter how much I tried to hold it back, no matter how much I tried to hide it, the tears were falling down my face again. I looked away, staring at the ground. Even though I was looking for 𝐻𝐻𝐸, I couldn't help but feel hurt that he had not told me such important news first. That I had to hear it from someone else to learn the truth. That I had to hear the truth from a stranger rather than the person I considered my closest friend. "Are you okay, Izuku?" 𝐻𝐻𝐸 asked, grabbing my shoulders. "Why are you back so late? We were worried." I stayed silent for a while. "What?" I asked. "Huh? Why didn't you tell me?" I asked again. "What are you talking about?" 𝐻𝐻𝐸 snapped, shaking me. I shut my mouth again. Then, when I mustered up the courage to do so, I looked back up at 𝐻𝐻𝐸. I forced myself to look into his eyes, my expression morphing into a bitter one from the lifeless one I wore previously. "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" 𝐻𝐻𝐸's POV. "Is Izuku still in his room?" He asked me. I nodded, letting out a worried sigh. Everyone groaned, all seeming very concerned. Izuku had been holed up in his room ever since that one day he returned. He yelled at us, demanding for an answer, going on about what the keeper had told him. Out of frustration, I had yelled back. "Yes. It's all true. You killed your mother, you killed your father. You never belonged here in the first place." Izuku had seemed very shocked when I had replied like that. It was when he started crying that I snapped back to reality. I wanted to apologize to him, but he had pushed me away and locked himself in his room. I felt very regretful since then. The other 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 were too. Actually, everybody was. The teachers, Izuku's previous classmates, even Bakugo. Perhaps, if I'd been more careful with my words back then, Izuku wouldn't be as hurt as he was. He was obviously sensitive and scared by the sudden news he had been given by the keeper. And I yelled at him, which would just add on to his pain. "Bro, you were a bit harsh with your words." 𝐻𝐻𝐸 nudged. "Apologize to him." "You think I haven't tried?" I tried to talk to him several times, but he never opened the door. Not even for 𝐸𝐸. I frowned. I glanced at the small child who was currently quietly drinking milk. 𝐸𝐸 has also been upset since Izuku locked himself in his room. She had also tried, several times, to get Izuku to come out, but nothing worked. He hasn't been eating either. How long has this been going on? He asked. "I think almost 2 weeks." I mumbled. "He's going to die at this rate." Everyone fell silent once I got those words out. The atmosphere got more darker and it was suffocating. I stood up, slapping my hands on the table to gain the attention of everyone in the room. "We messed up," I muttered, scrunching up my nose. "Come on. Let's go." "Go? Where to?" Kahaku asked. "What do you mean, where to?" "We're going to talk to Izuku." I snapped. "Well, he's not going to simply open the door for us." Ko snorted. "Then I'm going to break the door open. This gloominess ends today and we'll clear out the misunderstandings." I stated, making a fist of determination. Time skip 𝐒𝐻𝐸 in a deep breath before knocking on the door. Like our previous attempts, there was no answer. I frowned, my eyebrow twitching slightly. I breathed to steady myself and I knocked again. "Izuku, please open the door," I said, leaning towards the door. No reply. "Izuku, open the door," I demanded, a bit more loudly. No reply. "Open the frick-fracking door, you idiot," I yelled. No reply. I felt my eyes twitching more visibly. 𝐻𝐻𝐸 and the others stepped back and I lifted up my foot. I kicked the door, sending it flying off its hinges. It landed in the room with a loud thud, and I stomped into the quiet, dark room. It was quite cold in there, I have to say. Izuku was in the corner, hugging his knees and his head buried in between his arms. He slowly looked up at me and I was shocked. He had looked pale and hurt when he had returned, wet from the rain that night. However, now he seems much worse, if that was even possible. Izuku had bags under his eyes dull. He no longer had the bright glimmer that I used to admire so much. His eyes seemed so. The usual sassy expression he wore was nowhere to be found, only to be replaced with one that was 𝐬𝐶D of any emotion. His lips were dry and cracked. The pink hue that had once tinted his lips had turned a dull purple. Izuku seemed very thin as well. I could see his bones and the color was drained from him. His hands were abnormally cold, shaking as he tried to push me away. His arms shook as he struggled against my grasp. I forced him to look at me. Every single bit of color was gone. Every single drop of life was 𝐬𝐶D away from him. He looked like a living corpse. Nothing like the Izuku I used to know. Jigo. What? Izuku said. His voice was hoarse and it barely came out. It also sounded very strained. Izuku, please. I cried, tears falling down my face. I held onto his shoulders tightly. Please. We're sorry. Just please, I can't bear to see you go on like this. Go away. Leave me alone. Izuku choked out. He looked away from me. I don't want to talk to you. Right now. I frowned but forced him to look at me again. He stared lifelessly at me and I stared into his empty eyes. It pained me to see him in this state. Before he could say something, I pulled him into a hug. Izuku stayed still for a while but he soon started hiccuping. Worried, I pulled away, only to see him crying again. Tears streamed down his face and he quickly tried to wipe them away. I grabbed his hands and pulled him into another hug. This time, the others joined in and wrapped themselves around Izuku. Izuku cried harder, hugging back. I'm sorry. We're sorry, Izuku. Masako said softly, patting his hair. We're all sorry. And we are all worried. Everyone, even Bakugo, was worried about you. Keiko said. Please, we won't force you to do anything you're not comfortable with for now, but please. At least eat something. You quickly gave Izuku a tray of food and Izuku stared blankly at the tray for a while before hesitantly lifting a spoon. We all stared at him as he started eating, observing him so that he doesn't leave a single piece of rice left. Izu looked up at us after finishing his food. He didn't say anything, he simply stared at us. We're sorry. I said. It's fine. It couldn't have been helped. Izuku replied, looking away. Perhaps it was fated to be that way. Izuku paused, taking in a few breaths before he turned his gaze back towards us. He gave us a bitter, pained smile, another stream of tears rolling down his face. I would have appreciated it if you guys were the first one to tell me. Izuku's POV. I sat quietly as the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 explained in detail about my identity. Everything that the keeper had said was true. I killed my foster parents. I was the cause of their death. I guess I'm really not fit to be a hero. I said, bitterly chuckling at my words. Well, so if what you said is true, the keeper may be testing me. Analyzing my mental and emotional health, right? That's what I think. Kari said, scratching his cheek. Most of us 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s usually have no emotions until we meet our fated group. But you're different, you've lived with humans for as long as you could remember, so it's only natural that you have emotions too. I see. I sighed again. What's this thing about your fated group, anyways? You guys kept talking about that. By fated group I mean the group we are assigned to. A fated group is assigned a certain world to protect and watch over. 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 explained. We are a fated group and we were assigned this world. She gestured towards herself and the other 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐶𝐵s. They all nodded and I glanced between each of them. But we are missing our final member. Ikari butted in. Unlike every other group, we were missing our main member, and that's me. I mumbled, finishing Ikari's sentence. She nodded subtly. The atmosphere tensed a bit and I sighed. I laughed, making all the 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s look at me weirdly. You okay? You asked. You're not going insane, are you? Of course not. I chuckled. I waved my hands. Oh. I'm still very shocked and I'll need some time before I can accept the fact. I paused for a while, recollecting all the events that I've been through. I've been bullied, hurt, and my parents died because of me. Everyone I cared for all died because of me. But thinking about all those people who supported me, I just felt like I have to make them proud. Just so their death wasn't in vain. I thought over all my actions during the time I locked myself inside. I mumbled. I finally know why I haven't been able to improve. All I do is cry. If something goes wrong, I cry. When someone insults me, I cry. Even the smallest things make me cry. I sighed, thinking back to my middle school years. I always get discouraged, then blame others and never try to change. Izuku, don't blame yourself for this dash. No, listen to me. I interrupted 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐽. I finally understand. I've been given another chance to get stronger and redeem myself. I'll do whatever I can to change. I'll love to be a part of your team. I gave the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 a determined smile and they smiled back, hugging me as they welcomed me as their final member. So, what exactly do you do as guardians? I asked once we separated from the hug. We protect this world from complete chaos for a certain amount of time. During that time, we are to help everyone find the meaning of life and achieve their goals. We are also supposed to study on how they act, so we probably won't have much time to goof around like we used to. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 explained. So, you're basically doing hero work. I said, making the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 nod. Then let's get to it. I won't let that keeper get his way. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 laughed and hugged me another time, all of them saying how concerned they were. Oh, and I wanted to ask about that letter you guys left me. I said. It was so terribly written. I suspected that it wasn't true, but I couldn't find you guys anywhere. I was so heartbroken, I'm sorry. I just couldn't find a proper way to excuse our disappearance. 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐽 said. We were originally leaving for a short vacation. Also so that we could find some evidence on your sickness and race. Seems like our keeper told you before we could. It's fine. I replied, laughing. Just, please don't leave me like that next time. Time skip after all the nice conversations and the clearing out of our misunderstandings, I was greeted by Eri and some of the other teachers. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 came to apologize to me, and when I asked why, he told me that 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 threatened him. Well, not only 𝐀𝐮𝐿𝐽 but Mr. Izuku as well. I never thought that I'd be hearing 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 apologize to me. I smirked, feeling the need to tease him. But I won't accept your apology. 𝐀𝐮𝐿𝐽 looked at me in fury, his eyes narrowing as he opened his mouth to yell. I snickered as I gave him the same mocking look that he used to give me in middle school. To be honest, I don't really care about the whole bullying thing anymore. What happened in the past is not worth dwelling over, in my opinion. But it was quite funny to see his reaction. If you want me to listen, get on your knees and beg. You get the reference. I snickered, pointing to the floor. 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽, don't you want to apologize? 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽 growled, glaring at me. He then turned his glare at the floor but reluctantly kneeled in front of me. I heard several gasps of surprise from around us, several murmurs as well. I was pretty surprised as well. I felt my eyes widening at the sight. Who'd think that I got to see the all-might 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽 bow down to me? I teased. I'm sorry. 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽 mumbled. What did you say? I asked, pretending that I couldn't hear him. I cupped my ear. I'm sorry. What? I said I'm sorry, you dumbasses. 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽 yelled, his face red. Well, I'll accept your apology since you seem so desperate. I chuckled, signaling for 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽 to stand up. But 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽, I would have accepted your apology even if you hadn't kneeled. I gave him a small smile. He stared at me in a mix of shock and embarrassment, also some confusion. I suppose he didn't expect me to smile at him like that. What? He yelled. Wait. I started running, laughing as he screamed behind me. But thanks for the blackmail material, 𝐾𝐮𝐿𝐽. I laughed, waving my phone. I looked back just in time to see the hilarious look on his face. I smirked as I looked at the video on my phone. Maybe this won't be so bad after all. Izuku's POV. I smiled as I walked down the hallways of 𝐻𝐻, talking with 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐽 and 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐽. They were in their human forms currently. It's been quite a few years since all the weird commotion. I've officially become a member of 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐽's guardian group. It did take a while to convince that salty keeper of theirs to let me. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 and I have started working as pro heroes, and although we went through many hardships, we managed to become the #1 hero. However, I will admit that it was very worth it. I've been feeling much better as well, more happy. I feel like I actually belong. Everything was so much better these days. 𝐬𝐿. I shook my head as 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 shook me violently. Were you even listening? Sorry about that. I was thinking about something else. I laughed, giving 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 an apologetic nod. 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 glared at me, kicking me right underneath my knees. She stuck out her tongue as I grasped my knee in pain. I pouted, looking up at her. You deserved it, ding-dong. 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 huffed, walking off to the classroom. I quickly got up as I followed her. 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 laughed at me, making fun of how I got beat by 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 soon smacked him due to him being too loud. I laughed at him too, eye for an eye. Frick you. 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 muttered. Frick you too. I laughed. We stared at each other for a while, then we burst into an unexplainable fit of laughter. You guys are so childish. I heard a groan. Move, you're blocking the way. Hello Izuku-san. You're still in that same sleeping bag I see. I said. So, what are we doing today? Izuku-san turned to look at me, looked away, then looked back at me. He stared at me for who knows how long before shrugging and scooting away. He stopped, then came back towards us, handing us a sheet of paper. As the #1 hero group, I expect that you know how to teach several kids. Izuku-san said. You're going to be taking on a class of new students. There's not much since this is going to be your first year teaching, only 10 students. Do well. With that, Izuku-san continued his journey to his classroom. I was left dumbstruck at his words. 𝐒𝐮𝐿 and 𝐒𝐮𝐿 seemed shocked too. I didn't know we were teaching. I mumbled. 𝐒𝐮𝐿 nodded, slowly taking the paper away from my hands. Why, this class is really small though. 𝐒𝐮𝐿 commented, snatching the paper away. We have some familiar names too. Soon, 𝐒𝐮𝐿 and 𝐒𝐮𝐿 got into a fight about who was going to teach first. I sighed, chuckling a bit as I watched the two brawl on the floor. I picked up the piece of paper, walking away, leaving the two 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s to fight. Hey, young 𝐿𝐮𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵. I'm assuming that you've been told that you'll be teaching this year. All Might said, approaching me. Of course, told me. I said. All Might laughed at my little joke. I see. Well, I sure hope you don't blow up the classroom like last year. All Might said. I had a hard time fixing that. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 said, walking up to us. I looked away, feeling guilty about that. I let out a chuckle. I'll be sure not to do that this year. I said, starting my way to the classroom I was assigned to. Well, I'll see you guys later. The two pro heroes waved at me, and I happily skipped over to my classroom. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was already on their way. Man, I hate staying in my human form. You mumbled, stretching as I caught up to them. It takes up way too much of my stamina. Well, why don't you just drink one of the mana drinks you packed from our vacation a few weeks ago? I asked, referring to the energy drink that was specifically made for 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. It helps a lot. You shrugged. You's just too stupid to drink it? 𝐻𝐮𝐿 mumbled, rolling his eyes. At this point, his inner personality just shows. His brain cells can't process the strength of that drink. Hey, that's not true. You growled, wind starting to pick up around him. Says you. 𝐻𝐮𝐿 smirked. Tiny bits of dirt started to form in a circle around him. I watched in between, thinking about how much dust this would cause. I snapped my fingers, making the both of them stop and glare at me. Let me go. You snapped. You know I can't do that, you. I laughed. This ability comes in quite handy. The two 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫s glared at me. Just because you can restrain us and our powers doesn't make you any stronger, broccoli. I heard Kahaku's voice from behind. Like for dash, why are you guys all standing out in the hall? 𝐀𝐮 asked, a vein showing on his forehead as he popped his head out of the classroom. Class has already started and as teachers, you were supposed to be getting ready in this room 30 minutes ago. CRP. I gasped. I'm sorry, 𝐀𝐮. Sorry won't cut it. Everyone else was here, planning out our class plans today. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 stomped on my foot. Just be glad that the students weren't here today to see your poor example. Oh, they aren't here? Takako asked, walking up behind us. That's odd. Just before 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨 could open his mouth to explain, the intercom went off, explaining that some of the roads to UA have been cut off due to a villain attack, which might cause some students to be late. Yeah, what that thing just said. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨 huffed, pushing up his glasses. Anyways, Eri was here since an hour ago. And she's still a child. Oh, my precious Eri is in our class. I asked, bursting open the door. I saw Eri sitting in one of the desks near the window, her hair fluttering as the wind from outside blew into the classroom through the windows. She turned to look at me once she heard the loud slam of the door opening, smiling once we made eye contact. I hugged Eri before she could even finish her sentence. I missed you. Ni-chan, we saw each other a day ago. Eri laughed. I smiled sheepishly as I realized that what she said was correct. Every day. Honestly felt like years with all the stuff that we had to manage. Going to Kitsune meetings in the Kitsune realm, doing hero work in this world, and dealing with other problems. It was fun though. Undeniably fun. Anyways, I'm glad to have you in my class. I said, patting Eri's head. I'm happy too. Eri smiled. And Koda is going to be here too. I froze when I heard that name. Koda and I have been bonding recently after I showed him some cool tricks with water, but I still can't erase the memories of him running after me, threatening to punch me again. Ah, that child. I sighed. Well, I sure hope no other problematic children pops up. You're the one to talk. I turned around to see Koda, who seemed to be taller than me. Izuku-san, you can't lie that you haven't caused any trouble during your youth. That's true. I sighed, faking tears. I can't believe you two have grown up to bully me. You know how much time I spent babysitting you. Koda and Eri laughed at my awkward acting. We continued talking about some useless topics until the other children arrived at school. Halfway into the lesson, the door flung open, only to show my friends. Todoroki, Kaken, Uraraka, Mina, Momo, Denki, Ida. Everyone was there, even the teachers and all the students. I looked back at my own students only to see them smiling and shooting confetti. All Might was holding a cake, walking closer to Kitsune's and I with a warm smile. Happy first anniversary of becoming pro heroes. All Might said. We are truly blessed to have you, Izuku. You guys too. All Might said, turning to the Kitsunes. I have to thank you guys. Thank you. We truly appreciate you.